Hey everyone, it's me, SuperPaulGames. Welcome back to Suzerain, as we begin to learn even more about the important people in our nation. If we take a quick look at connections, we can see our cabinet. There's our best friend Peter. Here's a bunch of people we haven't met. We've met the defense minister before. We served under him a long time ago. And this was our professor in school, and I don't think I recognize the other ones. Maybe we haven't met them yet. Here are the factions, the Old Guard. They're the soulists, the guy who's still like Tarkin's soul, from the old administration who defend the status quo and promote conservative policies. Some claim they established a deep state that controls the state apparatus. There's a deep state? And the Chief Justice, Orso, the guy who swore us in, is a part of the deep state. Loyal to the Old Guard. Then we have the Reformists. The Reformists are representatives in the government, united under the call for democratic reforms. Over the previous years, they have been gaining popularity since the failed rule of the previous governments. Franz Richter, we talked to him at some point. I forget why. And then the oligarchs. The oligarchs are the few powerful elite who control the majority of the wealth in Sordland. Their influence both in and out of Sordland have been growing due to the privatization efforts in the past. And I don't think we met this creepy Tusk guy yet, but we will. If we look at the Grand Assembly, the legislature of our country, the majority is made of our party, USP, woo! And then whoever these guys are, I don't really know about them. I don't care. We'll figure it out later. And then here's the judiciary. Once again, the Supreme Court, if we want to change the Constitution, the Supreme Court has to vote to approve it. Currently, there are 5 Old Guard members, including Chief Orso Hawker, maybe head of the deep state, 3 centrists and 3 reformists. I'm guessing we'll meet them at some point, but that point is not right now. We'll probably do one briefing before we're done. Can I click on growth and does this do anything? No. Briefing on the current political situation. Peter, my best friend and vice president. Best friend, vice president, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too, sir.
Arrived a couple of minutes early and sat across from me. He was struggling to hold back his smile.
We did it, Anton. We won! Finally, all those years with our noses to the grindstone finally paid off.
That's where your nose went.
My nose! Oh, you're kidding. Ha-ha!
Peter's eyes sparkled. The strain of the past months had put a damper on his usual rakish charm, but today he was looking and acting more like his old self. He loosened his tie. Keep your clothes on, pervert! And undid the 2 top buttons of his shirt. I don't need to see your chest hair.
Enjoying the new secretary I picked out for you? Thought you'd appreciate her gorgeous set of talents. It's a shame the rest of your staff aren't as easy on the eyes.
You pervert! He gestured to the slight paunch that protruded over his waistband. My paunch is bigger! Paunch fight!
But hey, back in university, did you ever imagine we'd be sitting here in the Maroon Palace? We have to celebrate this great victory!
We'll celebrate at the inaugural ball, Peter. Just hang in there until evening, because balls held for pleasure are the best balls of all.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, that got a lot creepier than I meant it to be.
Evelyn hopes to congratulate you in person there.
Who the fuck is that? Is that his wife? Oh, it must be his wife. I'm sure the kids would love to see their Uncle Peter for the first time as the Vice President.
That's great to hear. It's crazy how fast the 2 have grown up. You're a good father.
Just don't call me Daddy. And you should ask my kids if I'm a good father. Really, they would know better than me, or you. Peter had a wistful look in his eyes. He does want me to be his daddy. He and Evelyn had never been able to have kids of their own. Oh, that's sad. During our campaign, the opposition had floated rumors that he'd fathered illegitimate children during his wilder years, but it had never been substantiated. The door swung open and Lucien Galard, my chief strategist, walked in. He was a compact man with sharp bird-like features. Ah! After briefly surveying the room from wall to wall, he sat down. Ah! All right, Birdman, give me a moment. Poured a glass of water and opened his briefcase in a series of quick, graceful, bird-like movements. Alright, so this is one of our longtime supporters, Lucien. Gentlemen! A tall case clock. What? A tall case clock in the room struck 3 o'clock. 1, 2, 3.
Dan, you are exactly on time.
Hello, Peter. Lucien then turned towards me. He very slightly bowed his head. Keep your head up high. It's good to see you, Lucien. How are you? I am ready and able, sir. Lucien spoke in soft clipped tones. It's quiet! I talk soft! In clipped tones! That immediately drew your attention towards what he had to say. Peter and I waited for him to proceed. Let's start by evaluating our current situation. The majority of the Swordish people demand change. They are more concerned about the economy than the Constitution, but they blame the system for the problems.
Man, people are losing their trust in our democracy. Why do you think radicals like Bernard Circasse are becoming more popular? Everyone's expecting us to bring change like the last government did. Who's this butthead? He looks like he's gonna cry, nerd. Oh, he's a poet and a novelist? Ha ha, nerd. He's well known for his lyrical flow. Too bad he's too early for rap. Oh, he joined the Red Youth during the Swordish Civil War. He's a commie! He left Sordland after the war was over, surviving the purge of Soul purged all the commies? Oh man. He went to the United Cortana. Wait, could this guy be a plant for, like, the Ruskies? The Cortanaskis? Many of his works are regarded as the greatest achievements in Swordish literature. Nerd. He ran as an independent in the 1953 general election and became the first communist to be elected to the Grand National Assembly of Sordland. So you're saying he's becoming popular with the people? Franz Richter, leader of the Reformists, believes that true change can only be accomplished by transferring some of our powers to the Assembly. I will move into the details of the demands shortly. Alright, so Franz Richter, whose name I should remember, he's in charge of the People's Freedom Party. Oh, that's we saw that party in the legislature. So he's in charge of the PP. These guys, I guess. He wants the Assembly to have more power. He's trying to take my power from me. We need to listen to the people if we want to serve this country. Lucien and Peter, my best friend Vice President. That's exactly what we campaigned for. A true change that will move the country forward.
We need many allies against the old guard and the government. The soulless. Like that, dipshit, what's his name? Fuckface? Orso, the, Supreme Court Justice? Maybe we shouldn't call him Fuckface. Why not, Lucien? We might need to convince him to be on our side, or at least not anger him. Oh, why can't we just stab him in the face? That would solve so many problems. That's the best democracy. Mr. Richter managed to persuade many members of the Assembly to give their support for drafting a new constitution. Reformist politicians are quickly increasing in number. While the reformist wing inside our party is still a minority, they could have tripartisan majority in the Assembly, especially if they unite under Franz Richter. So I think I remember from earlier, don't we need 2/3 of the Assembly to vote on any constitutional change? We have a simple majority for our party, right? A simple majority, but we would need someone like these dickheads to get to a 2/3 super majority. And then we still gotta deal with these dickheads in the court system. I think this is the time where we gotta establish ourselves. We are El Presidente. We have hopefully a mandate. Our party must fall in line with our position. We can't have a strong divide. Wait, Franz Richter also is a businessman. He owns part of Taurus Holding. Should I remember that?
True, if our party fractures, it's the opposition that will benefit.
You don't say, Peter! You don't say.
You don't have to be snooty or rude.
I do have to, Peter, because you're being a dumbass. The reformist
That's my line. The reformist demands are clear. We want to limit the president's veto powers, ensure that the Supreme Court is independent, and take away the court's right to vote on constitutional amendments.
Alright. I agree with most of that. Wait, except for our veto powers. I don't know if I want to give up veto powers. I guess I'll support the reformists for now. We do need a proper balance of power in this country.
I agree. We can't ignore the winds of change, after all, even if they're coming from my butt.
Shut up, Peter.
Okay.
The old guard will do best to preserve the Constitution. It will do everything it can to preserve it even. Chief Justice Hawker,
That's Orso.
and his allied judges have great influence over the Supreme Court, which will be tough to break.
Ah, where was I? Right there. Right there. So there's Orso. He doesn't have a majority, but he is just one vote short of a majority in the Supreme Court. He might be a problem.
The court also has final say over constitutional legislation. Without their approval, we cannot even change it.
Look, we need to break the power of the Supreme Court one way or another. If we don't do that, we'll never be able to get anything done. We'll always be at Orso's... We'll be Orso's bitch.
I agree, they have too much power over sordid politics.
We need to take away their vote in constitutional legislation. It's absurd that they get a vote for bills when they aren't even elected.
I know, Sol must have set it up that way so that he could pretend he was democratic while making sure anything he wanted killed got killed by the court he appointed. Which is probably why he's the only guy in the country who has immunity for everything. We can't underestimate the situation. It's not going to be easy to drain the swamp.
We can figure it out. Our party still holds 130 out of 250 seats in the assembly. We got the power!
However, to reform the Constitution, we must receive a 2/3 majority.
I already know that. I already explained it to everybody, Lucian. We need a 2/3 majority in the assembly, and we need a simple majority in the Supreme Court to change the Constitution.
After we have settled on how to proceed, we will need to talk with our party figures. Our goal must be to get 150 signatures needed to start the process. Following the green light from the USP,
That's our party.
we will reach out to the other party leaders to see if they would back our draft.
Our draft of the Constitution.
The last step is to convince the justices of the court.
That's going to be hard.
The entire process will take a long time, but we must start working with the Reform Committee to evaluate all possibilities for a new constitution as soon as possible.
Okay, we're not going to focus on the old guard. As much as I would love more powers for us, that's what got this country into the problem, was having executives with too much power. So as much as I hate to give up some of our power, we will write a more democratic constitution with the reformists.
That's what we've been preparing for internally. Don't forget that that promise is what got us elected.
Of course I didn't forget, dipshit!
The key thing here will be strengthening the power of the Assembly, which we already lead with a majority.
Lucian, I wouldn't get too full of ourselves with that. Yes, we have a majority in the Assembly. That doesn't mean they're always going to have our back. Peter nodded in agreement.
Yeah, the division of power needs to be rebalanced for a better Sordland.
Oops, that's not my line.
According to the initial draft we made with the reformists, there are 2 changes to the Constitution that are not open for discussion.
Lucian opened his dossier.
First, the Supreme Court will no longer get to vote on constitutional amendments.
Alright, I am on board with that. That's something we want to.
Second, the President's absolute veto authority will be taken away.
I don't know if I like that.
This can be replaced with a limited veto system by fixing the current loopholes.
I kind of want to keep my veto, you know? I have a feeling this is going to bite me in the ass, but I think I'm willing to compromise. If we're going to put the Supreme Court in a situation where they have to give up power, then I guess we should make a similar offer, and a limited veto would still be hard for the opponents to override. I think that's gonna bite me in the ass at some point, though. Okay, I have no problems with these clauses, Lucian. Let's work with the reformists to get this done.
Yes, sir.
Lucian nodded.
We will start with the Reform Committee together with all parties and start reaching out to all the stakeholders in the Assembly and the Court for a new constitution.
By later in the year, we should have an idea of the reform content and what the other parties want.
What else would they want? Like, we're giving them a shitload. Lucian took notes.
Another important point. We must be aware of the Lotharberg Group.
They're a private, non-government organization which assesses the economic conditions of Sordland and the globe. They are organized by Walter Tusk, who I believe is one of the oligarchs in our country. Oh, I think it says so here.
The oligarchs convene under this organization to influence economic policies. Conrath led it for a long time before falling ill. The new leader is Walter Tusk.
They held meetings in secret? These guys are suspicious. So it's mostly a secret organization, except for their oligarch leader, Walter Tusk. I assume other oligarchs are in the group.
According to business reports, some members of the National Business Council are in their pockets.
Oh, god damn it. So there's parts of the government that are bribed by them? That ain't good.
Tusk and the group will surely try to bribe us in exchange for special economic protections.
Look, I'll enter a dialogue with them eventually. I don't want to be bribed, but we're going to need them. As much as I hate to say it, these guys have the power. We're going to need them as we transfer more and more, or transform more and more into a free market economy. I'll enter a dialogue with them. We need to be diplomatic at least about it.
Wise approach. It's good to understand and see if we can reach a middle ground.
Lucian looked at Peter. Wait, what are you two doing?
As far as I know, Marcel Caranti has strong ties to this group. His influence could definitely be an asset to us. I said ass. But I'm sure he'll want something in return.
Who the fuck is this? That guy looks creepy as hell. He is a philanthropist and entrepreneur, the son of a media conglomerate. He owns a giant advertising company. Okay. He owns media, energy, construction, trade, tourism, luxury hotels. And he's the vice president of the Swedish Broadcasting Corporation. So TV? Alright, so maybe if we get him on our side, he can help us with, I don't know, propaganda? This is a little strong arm, but that group is dependent on our economic policies. They can't move a finger without us.
I wouldn't be so optimistic, boss. The capital they represent could do a lot of damage if it was diverted.
What do you mean, Pete?
We need to tread carefully on all sides with all power players to survive our term.
Just stab them all in the neck. Democracy. Yell democracy as you do it. It's what the people want.
I need to underline the seriousness of the situation.
Lucian, my policy of stabbing people in the neck is a time-proven policy of success.
Our election campaign promised to focus on the military. That was a safe choice. The military and the general staff are a powerful element in the state, and history tells us a dangerous one too.
Dude, we lived through a military revolution where our military fought itself for control of the country. Well, apparently, Artur Wizzy died in prison. Wait, wasn't that the dad of our teacher? Look, the military can be close allies, and with Runberg, the nation of the north, threatening us, we need a strong military.
Runberg is a massive threat, one that also requires us to ally with other stronger nations.
You read my mind, Lucian.
Defense Minister Josef Lancia is more loyal to us compared to General Kruger.
Who the fuck is Kruger? Okay, so Kruger is the current chief of general staff. And then who's Lancia? He's our old commander. Oh, he's... Okay, so this is... Oh, man, Penis Head, our old commander, is the Minister of Defense. And Kruger is a 4-star general who's the current chief of staff of the Army High Command. So Kruger was a supporter of Sol. Well, originally he was a supporter of Lutheran, who was, I think, the first dictator. Then he was the supporter of Sol's revolution, and then he... Oh, and then Sol lost power. He was also a hero in the Wayland border war. So this guy is probably Old Guard. What about Lancia? Lancia gained nationwide fame as a major during the Wayland Civil War. He was our high commander. I don't think he was the one who got mad at us, though maybe he did when we let the refugees in. He's a popular figure, and he earns a lot of respect amongst nationalists. And he's very influential with the army. He's promised that he's going to make the army into a professional force rather than a conscripted force. He did not like our previous president, Alfonso. He's conservative. He doesn't look like... I could be wrong. He doesn't look like he's Old Guard, though, like this Kruger guy. So the defense minister likes us. The chief general doesn't. That hopefully isn't a problem.
A fact that obviously can change with our actions. Either way, I see a potential rift between the two since they are clearly of different minds.
If we act strongly against the military, both of those guys will unite against us. I agree with Lucien. We need to tread carefully here.
I didn't say we should act against the military. I said we should work with them. What are you... Are you even listening, Peter? Lucien looked at his watch. He watched his watch, y'all.
Well then, gentlemen, precisely 30 minutes.
You say that to your wife when you're done fucking her, Lucien?
This concludes our political briefing for today. Our next meeting will be about our media strategy. Talk to you soon, sir. I will keep in touch.
Thanks, Lucien.
I'll see you both at the next meeting.
See ya, Pete. Lucien and Peter bid their farewells and left. A mysterious amount of smoke was rising far away on the horizon. That doesn't seem good. Man, we have learned a lot. We're taking a ton. There's a bunch of moving pieces. So far, this game is pretty cool. Next time, we'll do some more stuff. So many problems to try and solve. This was a bit of a long episode. I'm going to try and get them down a little bit more in size, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, hopefully we don't get killed by anybody. See y'all next time.